Okay, so this is a big one, guys, or can be a big one depending on how much automation you guys are actually using. In the routines area, whenever you have a routine that is a certain type, let's say it's a listing routine or it's a transaction routine, stuff like that, any of the activities that are in there are mostly dealing um, with things dealing with the particular listing that it's assigned to. Um, let me do one thing here quick. Update party members. So I have this is an example of a routine that I set up for my transactions, and what I wanted to do, and I couldn't do from the previous version of this, is I wanted to be able to update the people, the party members of the transaction. So if I was to go in here and do an ad and say, update fields, and I add an action, and my action previous to this update, I only had this update field option. With that update field, whenever I was to choose a field, it was always a field that was representing the transaction. I want to add tags to the transaction. I want to change the milestone of the transaction, or any of the dates are dates for the transaction. It was not the people assigned to that transaction. Well, that was a problem because we want to be able to update people along with the listing or the transaction. So what I've done is we've added an additional action here. I'm going to go ahead and click on add action. This add action, instead of just update field, we now have an update party member field. So and this is only available for your listings, your transactions, or your projects. If you guys have projects, this party member field will ask you, which party member do I want to update? In which case I might say, well, I need to update the buyer, something with the buyer. I want to change the buyer's tag, or I want to change the status of something. So you can do all the same things, but now you'll see that all of these dates are dates related to a contact. So all the fields are related to the contact, not the transaction or not the listing. This is a huge help for automating those people that you want to do things with. So I released that on Tuesday or Wednesday. I was still working through it because one of the common things that you guys do is at the end of the transaction, you want to update the buyer's address, right? The property that they just bought is now potentially their new primary address. It could be an alternate address. Maybe they're buying a second home or something like that, where it's a secondary, but you want to update the buyer's address with the address. Well, we've got some special items in here for that same update party member. You choose buyer. One of the fields that you can now update is the buyer's primary address. And all that it does is it copies the property address into the buyer's primary address. The address that they currently have in there will remain. It'll stay in there as a alternate address. If you want to have, an old address or whatever, it will still be in there. But technically, you'd probably want to remove it, which may be another thing that we want to add as an update. But what this does then is this would automatically update the buyer's address with whatever property address that you're dealing with, either what's the property address of the transaction. Similar type of option is, and what you might do is if you're in an area where you have a lot of secondary owner buyers where they're buying a second home and you don't want to update their primary home number, there is a buyer alternate address that you can update as well. So all it does is it adds this address, the transaction address, into that contact record as an alternate address, as a secondary home or whatever. So those two options now are available. So not only can you update statuses and things of your buyers. So another good use of this would be on a listing routine. You might want the seller to have a tag of seller or seller 2026 or something like that. Whenever you start your routine, you can now come in here and say, you know, update the party member field. I want to update the seller with whatever tag that you want to add, and it would add that tag. Likewise, you can remove tags. So once they're no longer a seller on your transaction, you may want to remove that tag. So you could do the removal of the tag. So all of the automation that you guys wanted to be able to do, but you were having to manually change those in your other softwares, you're now able to do it as an action as part of your calendar. So on closing day, I need to do these things. I need to change my address. I need to change my tags. I need to add my closing date as the home purchase date or home sale date. Those types of things can be done automatically now, and saving you lots of time from having to go in there, and not only time, but potential errors of you know, updating those things manually.
We have a tag. As soon as they buy, we put them as a listed prospect.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, once they buy, and you know that down the road they, you know, could list it later, you know, do whatever you want to there. Adding, removing tags, adding, removing milestones. Those are types of things that are pretty common. So